Hey family, welcome back to another episode of She Say, He Say. Tonight, we're going to talk about one of the hottest songs in the country, right? We're going to talk about the W.A.P. And we're going to talk about the effects, the potential effects of this particular song on maybe youth, the generation to come, the effects on us, you know, as adults.
I'm an adult.
And tonight, as a guest, we have a guest in the building who is going to give a younger male perspective. Introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Caleb Bailey.
Okay, this is Caleb Bailey.
His kid.
His kid. So
that's King_.K on Instagram.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Little shout out. Okay, shout yourself out, son. Shout yourself out. Always be
I'm
branded.
not mad at it.
Okay.
Always be branded.
All right, so we're gonna hop right into it. But the first thing we want to do tonight is we want to try to get the perspective of the young man and how he feels about this particular song.
I'm saying the song doesn't particularly bother me at all. I mean, it's not something I'd listen to by myself. If I'm in my car, I'm not about to go out and listen to it by myself and jam it. No, but I've heard it. I don't think it's a problem. I mean, if I'm around people that want to listen to it, I'm going to listen to it. Of course, that's not a problem. I mean, that's really my perspective on it. I mean, they talk about some crazy stuff in there. And it get real explicit in the video.
Yes. Definitely
The
do.
video is just as crazy. The video matches. I mean, but I don't think it's a problem.
Okay. So what you think about Black is King? Would you bump that in the car?
Black is King?
Yeah.
No, I don't know what that is.
That being the
Prime
point.
example.
That being the point,
spread.
though. That being the point. The number one song in the country was the W.A.P, right?
But
Beyonce just dropped dope. I mean, a whole video piece.
Everything
right?
about it was.
Black is King, and it's absolutely amazing. You know, when I looked at it, I looked at it in the visuals and the things that she's saying about us. It makes me feel like she's looking at black people through the eyes of God. You dig? I mean, it was that amazing. Nobody's talking about it. You didn't even know what it was.
Not at all.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the number one song was W.A.P.
Because
Okay?
it's the number one talked
It's
about.
the number one song.
It was like they went hard on that song.
They did. They did. And
They're still
Megan,
going hard on that song.
and I'm not gonna front. Megan's a beast.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a
Megan
beast.
is killing the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a beast.
I love her.
Lyrically, she might give Remy a run. Megan's a
you know
beast.
what?
She
People
is.
sleep on her. She's not just hips and ass.
Right.
not.
Megan can do that.
But she got hips and ass.
Yes, she does. Shout out to Megan.
Yeah, because I want that
does.
body.
Yeah.
Body goals.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my God.
Shout out to Megan, but she got skills, right? She killed Cardi
That is
on
my
that song.
spirit
No
animal
doubt.
for
She
the rest
killed
of the year.
Courtney.
No doubt.
I
Yeah.
love Megan.
Girl.
So the song is a very adult song.
is.
Very adult song. And that's who it's for. What do y'all think, though? I mean, do you think that the youth today have way too much access? Because I guarantee you I have an 8-year-old at home who has at least heard the radio version of the song, right? Do the children today have too much access?
I wouldn't say yes, but you know, that's just because we were raised differently. But they're already used. They've already been put out to all this stuff so early. I don't think they're as phased by it as we would have been at their age.
I definitely agree with that because kids nowadays, by the age of 3, they know how to run a tablet and everything
Yeah.
else. I mean,
Swear.
that's just
My
what they're
daughter
growing
does.
up in. Like, it's what they're used to. So I wouldn't say they have too much access. It's just what they know. They were given the access, so of course they're going to take
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So I think this comes into how you're raising your kids.
Exactly.
Right.
Like for what they need to look at, how the perspective of music, they need to know it's just a song. This is not a way of life. This is entertainment. So as long as they know that, I feel like they're gonna be fine. But as a parent, you got to make sure they know that that's all that is for. Like I said, I got a 10-year-old, and she better not be dancing in no W.A.P. She better not. Even if she's heard the song, now I'm not gonna play it around her, but I'm naive to think that she's not gonna hear it.
Right.
So do you have that conversation ahead of time, or do you wait? Do you sit back and wait in hopes that maybe you hear it playing in the room one day?
I mean, I've talked to my baby about different stuff, and she knows there's certain things it's not appropriate for her to listen to. So as soon as certain things pop up in something, I trust her with her judgment to know that it's not okay. Or if I hear something and I have to be like, no, we're not doing that one. That one's not okay.
Yeah.
So with certain topics or things that are in music, I'm like, nope, it's not going to do that.
And
That's
at the
not
end of the
appropriate
day,
for you.
it's actually all about knowing, your kids? Who's going to absorb this information? Who's not? Like, who's really into it? Because if I have 5 children, so by the time I would sit down and vet all my children, I knew exactly which one I was going to the moment the W.A.P hit the air. I was like, oh yeah, I need to have a sit down with you.
Right.
Come here. This is not a go. We're not doing this. This is not okay.
Exactly.
I don't care how much you like this person. Nah. You know, because I know the other ones, it wasn't even, it's like it's there. But they're not going to listen. They're going to play in it. Right. They're not even going to think twice about it. It's a song that comes on, and if they like the beat, they might think about it. But 9 times out of 10, they're not even going to listen to that beat because they listen to a lot of the things that their older sister does, or they're still cartoony. So they don't. Yeah. That other stuff they don't even listen to. They don't want to listen to adult stuff. They'll be like, Mom, your adult TV shows are on. Yeah. So they know the difference between what an adult TV show is and what they want to watch. Right. So, you know, I knew exactly which one to go.
My baby, it's not her. It's her best friend because she's got a little bit older sister. So she's, you know, following her older sister and what she's doing. So I know my daughter's best friend is about to bring that over to my house. But she knows when she comes to my house, I shut that down real quick. Right. Like they was going to do some booty shaking stuff or a little booty dancing contest or something in my house one day. Girl, I was about to beat everybody in the house too. Right. I was like, well, we're not going to do in here.
Right. My kids don't even. I played around with my kids on one of the little TikTok things, and I did a little twerk, and they all were like, "Ooh, mommy twerking," you know what I mean? And they knew not to do that around me. Now, again, keyword around me, because I know for a sure fact that since they know what it is not they're not opposed to doing it. You know,
now, were y'all the same people when Lil' Kim and Trina dropped and that new video hit uncut? Were y'all the same people telling your homegirls, let's not pop, lock, and drop it, right?
No, I was pop, lock, and dropping it. I
definitely ain't gonna lie to you. That was a different time of my life. It was a different time of my life.
I was definitely pop, locking, and dropping. As a matter of fact, I mastered the dance. So I could make sure I did pop,
after the show. Yeah. Pop, lock.
No, we were
y'all know we grew up in the generation. Well, you know, you still was in that part too.
Yeah, I was there.
But it's in the part of it so too where we was out here. That was that grinding on each other music. We was all up in there on each other.
Yeah, I got a slow wine, a dirty wine for you.
You know, we had the little contest. You get on the stage. I was in a few contests. Ain't a lot of y'all. I ain't gonna tell you what happened. I was in a few. I danced in a few shadow boxes and some cages and some things in clubs. It's a thing. Right. It was a thing. I was young, you know.
But, you know, at the same time.
But I was raised well. I knew better than to cross certain lines of things.
Okay. Right, and that's exactly what I was about to say. At the same time, I knew what I was raised at home. I knew that I wasn't going to be at home doing all that.
No.
And even out in the streets to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm in a place where I'm supposed to be pop locking and dropping it. I'm not out in the middle of the street.
No.
I'm not at some like random person's house. I'm at a club where I'm supposed to be dancing.
That's what you do.
You know, that was what was out. Let's do it.
It was definitely not out here. Randomly.
I wasn't 8, 9, 10.
We wasn't at
pop
Walmart
locking and dropping it. That wasn't happening.
You know.
But with so much access today, it's true, right? It's true. Caleb can say that I ran a pretty tight ship. But if
pretty tight, huh?
I ran a pretty tight ship, and let me tell you how tight my ship was. I'm about to put him on blast.
No.
Every young person at their school had Androids. They had Androids or iPhones. What was your first cell phone?
Oh goodness.
What was your first cell phone?
We still had the flip joint. Not only did we have a flip joint, we shared the flip joint.
Yeah, they had the flip joint. Understand this because it's my responsibility to protect them from them.
Right.
Right. And I know we can't monitor every single thing. Yeah. I literally had one of my children who used to smuggle Androids and iPhones in the house. Literally smuggled them in. She would smuggle them in. And peace be unto her. This is her first year of college, right?
In my head just want y'all to know that.
I'm letting y'all know that I did what I could to protect them from them, and I hope now that they're a little bit older, they appreciate it. But are we with the things that are going on in the world today? With the misogyny, with the way that men look at women, the way that women view themselves now, and the way women are now viewing men. Because even that's negative.
It is.
I mean, crazy negative. with those things going on now, or should we be more responsible in the music, in the television? Should we be a little more responsible in the things that we're exposing our society and youth to?
The sad part is as much as we want to, box them in and shield them for the world, it's not a thing because they have so much access. Exactly. We could put all the codes and parameters around and pray about it but the best thing that we can do is be the best role models for our children. So teach them what we know to guide them in the right direction. Be that visible role model that we need them to see, and to let them know that no matter what, we are sound ears, so that they want to have, conversation, questions, things that they need to get to know off of their chest, and also show them that the world can be mean. The world can, they can take or leave you, but if you love you, then whatever the world got to do, say, how they're going to operate, ain't going to bother much. It's not going to shake you, because you know that you are amazing. You are intelligent. You are beautiful. And that's what I try to do in my household. Again, I have 5 kids, so it's very hard, especially being a single mom. But I try to just, every day I wake up, give them something to hold on to. Mommy loves you. My 3-year-old today, I swear she done told me about 50 times today she loved me. But just so let them know I love you. You're beautiful inside out. You can be whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. And I think that fuels them to want. And then the model that I'm, the way that I present myself on a daily basis, when I walk outside the door, as I'm working, as I'm doing whatever it is that I do, I try to be a role model for them, so that the things that they see on the TV, they know it's just TV. Exactly. This is real life. That's TV. And that's what I try to do. So at the end of the day, that is what it is, and this is what it's supposed to be.
Got you. Okay, we're going to finish this conversation. We're going to take a quick break. All right.
Section 8.
Welcome back. Tonight we're talking about the W.A.P and songs like the W.A.P and their effect on society, and we're talking about the access that we have to specific genres and how they affect us. So looking at a website, it's aacap.org. This website is basically talking about children and music. It basically states that studies have shown that music has a significant effect on children, because psychologically what people don't understand is that that's a huge, adolescence is a huge part of development, and that's how they begin to formulate their identities, right? So I'm gonna give you a couple really quick examples. I can remember, once again, I date myself, right? But I can remember as being a young kid in Kansas City. We had the, I think, Indian Springs Ford Theaters. We went to go see this movie called Colors. And I can remember going in this movie, you know, we all had a good time. We all went in the movie. We sat down, we had a good time. And I promise you, by the end of the movie, wasn't nothing but a bunch of youngsters in there, teenagers, preteens. By the end of the movies, we were all Bloods and Crips. I promise you, we were all Bloods and Crips, and we and all of a sudden we had a hate or a disdain for each other, right? You have to realize where your children are in their development when you're exposing them to certain things. What was done to me growing up was there was a huge quote-unquote war on drugs that was going on. And hip-hop was used. Hip-hop went from being something that was positive, right, and unifying to almost like a public service announcement to kill and sell as much drugs as you possibly could, right? And where I come from, the grounds were fertile. Because back in that, we have what I call a lost generation, because it was a bunch of boys who were growing up trying to be men who didn't have fathers in the home. Of all the boys I hung around, as far as having a father in the home, it was only one. Right? So that was fertile ground. And I can remember Ice Cube making a statement that when they first came out, if people remember, when they dropped that first CD, Dope Man was what? It was pretty, it was a, it had cursing in it, but it was more positive than negative. And if you watch the progression of NWA over that time period, they got more negative, and more negative. But it was because they were getting paid to be negative. What they realized is they made more money being negative. So in the era in which I grew up in, it was done systematically, and it was done on purpose. So I ask you, a young man of 20 years old, should we be more responsible in the music and the things that we're putting out in the media, or is Pop's trip?
I definitely can't agree with that, but I think Cardi B said it best. That's what sells. She believes that her body, this and everything else, that what she talk about, all of that, that's what sells. That's what's gonna get her the money. I know dope female artists all around. Rigo Nasty, she don't get enough burn, but it's because she doesn't talk about that. That's not all she promotes. That's not all she does. But that's what sells. And so they're going to continue to do that. But it's up to, I feel like, the parents to filter what your kid is listening to and what they're not listening to.
Yeah, that is
true. Or
true.
at least to be able to distinguish what's appropriate and what's not appropriate from that age and things. Like even going back to with W.A.P, you want to talk about it with Cardi, but she says, I don't cook, I don't clean. Cardi can do that. She makes a figure. She don't have to.
She doesn't have to cook, no clean.
Exactly.
It's like, you over here working at Burger King, I'm going to need you to cook and clean.
That's real.
It's just a big
real.
difference.
That's true.
But that's what sells. Just like when you ask him about Beyonce's song, no one knew about it. Why? Because it's positive.
Right.
Okay.
We're over here talking about something sexual with women and everything. With W.A.P, of course, sex sells. That's definitely going to get more hype than something positive. That is just an unfortunate part of society. So I think even if we tried to reel it in, it's still going to happen because somebody's going to know that's what's going to sell. So even if you get majority of people being positive, they're going to still go to the other people. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But that's again, you just got to raise your kids right and hope for the best because eventually you got to let them walk on their own anyway.
Right.
You just try to give them all the tools they can. It's like trying to teach them how to walk. You know, they're going to fall. They're going to get hurt.
Right.
They're going to learn the hard way on some stuff. You just try to get it in there as best you can.
And again, like I said, I mean, it really all boils down to what does your kids see on a daily basis other than the TV or, you know, the social medias and things like that. What are you presenting in front of them? I mean, is your household a revolving door where there's people coming in and out and, you know, the W.A.P is what your house is? Or is it, you know, they see their mamas, their grandmamas, you know what I mean, the people that they can rely on for real being that role model, that person that they can really look up to.
Right.
So they don't have to turn to a TV to look up to that.
Right.
Let's go back to just talking about the song period where so many people are upset about it being being explicit. Now we all know here, you may not know about some of these songs, but back in the day, they were just as bad, if not worse. They say a lot of terrible things. Too Short said a lot of stuff. Let's think about 3 6 Mafia. Slap on my knob. I bet we can all go
Whisper
to that whole song.
Yeah. Yes.
Wait till you see my.
We got Kaya, my neck, my back.
Oh,
lick
man.
my.
And my.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
We over here still worried about WAP. Like, hold on. But look, it goes back even further to stuff that our parents listened to and grandparents and things. Like, this songs, I heard some of them, they was like old songs. And I was listening like, they said some terrible things.
They was doing the hump.
But my thing is, in listening to all those songs that you said, we like those songs. Yeah. We enjoyed those songs. But I'm telling you, it didn't fuel me to want to go out and be like, you know,
I do question some of the stuff my mom let me listen to, though. I do question when I think back in the day, but to be honest, I didn't know what they meant, some of these songs.
That's the point.
I didn't know. I just enjoyed the song. I liked the way the person's voice was or the beat or whatever.
Most of the time it's the beat.
But that's the thing, though. Back then, you know, I used to go next to the next door neighbor and with the blues playing. Yeah. I'm on the porch dancing. They playing Candy Liquor. Right?
You know?
I had, as a youth, you had no idea what they're talking about. Oh, he likes candy. Right. But back in those days, right? It was in the lyrics. It was a little more hidden. The adults, they were having adult conversation.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I missed that. I do miss that part. It was a little more secretive. Like, one of my favorite R&B artists is Joe, and you know, part of one of his songs was in there talking about, you know, 69 was a very good year, if you know what I mean, my dear. And even in the video, they have a bottle of wine. I'm almost positive, unless my memory just made it up, that it even said 1969 on the bottle. Right. So I'm like, oh, we're talking about wine. Older me's over here like.
That's what he was talking about. Exactly.
That's like genuine.
What he was talking about.
My pony. You know, if you want it, ride it. My pony.
I was way too young.
How many kids really just thought they was riding ponies? I mean,
I was way too young to like that video like that.
What riding a pony
I was way too young.
Yeah. Now they're being very clear in WAP though.
Oh yeah.
Several times will she repeat what she's talking about.
Right.
But you know, our music, like back in the day, it was a little like when we
that's
first started
what we're
when we were
saying.
younger. It was a little more concealed.
Right.
You know, I mean, some of it still got out there. You know how people like Silk with the "Let me look you up and down till you say stop" type stuff.
Yes, Silk did. Yes, Silk was very clear about
what they
were to accomplish.
I ain't even got. I can't quote all the lyrics.
It was a summertime hit. It was a summertime hit.
It was a summertime hit.
And I question it because I remember this age. I remember my mama let me call the radio station and requesting this song and everything, and I'm over here like later on in life, and I'm thinking like, Mama, why you let me my little self over here calling the radio station wanting to hear this song? What was you thinking? But at the same time, I'm glad she let me experience, because what am I going to do if I'm not allowed to do it? I'm going to sneak off.
Right, you're going to go do it.
So at least she knew what I was listening to, you know? So at the same time, I'm like, you knew what your kid was doing, though. So that's points to you.
Right, exactly. And it, like Caleb said, and we've been saying, it's all about how you raise your children, how they're going to take the information being disposed. Because, I mean, right now, we say it all the time. They're pushing so many narratives right now.
Yes.
You know, being gay, you know, hatred on blacks and whites. You know what I mean? They're pushing so many narratives right now. The only way to shelter your children is by teaching them inside the home.
It is.
So that
because they're going to be exposed to it regardless.
Can't affect them in any way.
Okay. All right. That's pretty major. I do have a question though, and this is definitely one for you ladies, because you oftentimes have an issue being objectified, right? Now, keep in mind you have young boys who are becoming men listening to this music, and in this song, if all you're talking about is how wonderfully wet, how wonderfully wet this particular situation is, and you hear this young man, he's listening to it, he's watching the responses to it, he's probably never even had an experience with it, right? But at the end of the day, this is what he's listening to. This is the subliminal message he's getting in his head. Is he wrong when he approaches your daughter and the only thing he wants is some WAP?
Again, this goes back to being in the household. It has everything to teaching your children, because at the end of the day, I have to teach my son, especially because he lives in a household full of women.
Yes.
and he's the only boy, and I'm the only mother. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a role model, so I have to teach him. Like, look, you already see how we are as a collective. Do you want to just deal with, laying down with this woman, or do you want to get to know them? Because you see how crazy your sister is, you see how crazy your mama is. Do you want to know a little bit deeper into what this woman can possess, or what she can do, or what she could bring to the table than just that one part? Because if we don't teach them that, then that's all he's gonna look for. Because he's like, oh, that's exciting. Like, that sounds good.
That all sounds like a great little fantasy, but when they're young, they're not worried about all that extra stuff, to be honest. Especially young men, they're very hormonal. It's the thing. So yes, we can install that in them, but that is still what's going to happen.
I mean, but it's going to happen regardless. But
it is,
but
you can still teach
somewhere.
them. But I'm just saying, it's like they're honestly not going to care about those attributes normally until they're older. Not until they're really looking to settle down with somebody. I don't think they're going to care. If they're out there just to begin, there's a lot of people out here being hoes.
I mean,
they said there's some hoes in this house. That's what they're looking for.
You could be right, but I know personally some young men that when they were younger, that's what they
for the
wanted.
Majority.
They wanted a good girl.
I'm not speaking for that small percentage.
A relationship.
I'm speaking majority
wise. They wanted a good girl and they wanted a relationship.
Yeah, I do. I know a couple.
My son told me that the girls are for the streets.
They are. They're for the streets. I'm gonna tell you, because I was that way. I definitely wanted me.
He was that way.
Yeah, I was that way. I definitely wanted a relationship.
Hold on, let him finish talking. Let him finish talking.
But I'm just saying, I had to point that out because
let him finish saying it though.
Go ahead. I said we speak of majority.
Ray's definitely raising the right parameters. That's what they're going to want. That's what any kid is going to look for or whatever. And that's just what I saw personally. I was like, okay, you need to find a relationship and it has to be serious. Like you got to really like that person. And then time passed, I get older. I mean, then you see how people are actually moving. You see how girls are actually moving. You see how dudes are actually moving.
Yeah.
Whatever thing, something might happen to you. And then that might change your entire perspective, which that's something that happened to me. So I don't necessarily go looking for that right anymore. Like, it's going to take time.
Look, they exist just like you exist.
Exactly.
They do exist, but you got to vet them, but you know what to look for now. It's like, but you can't judge them too harshly because everybody, matures at different rates. So right now, all they're looking at, especially when like high school age and everything, is what their friends are doing and what works. Like even when I was younger, it went into like, I thought boys liked me, but it's just some other stuff. But you thought they actually liked you. That wasn't what they were going for. Not every boy that talked to you actually wanted to get to know you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying, I wasn't saying that at all.
No, but I'm saying like, that's the thing. That's how it starts off when you're younger and you learn, you adapt. Right. But other people have different mindsets at them ages too. Like I was always more grown than everybody else. Like I learned stuff earlier and paid attention to things and adapted quicker than my peers. But that is the thing. You have to learn that.
Right. I mean, like I said, I was
some people want love at a young age. Some people don't. Some people out here just want to hoe it out until they're ready to settle down.
Right.
It's just
and again, you
got to find who matches you.
Like you said, some people just go into it with that's what it is. But then you have, like I said, some young men that wanted one thing, but they learned it had nothing to do with their household. Where their mindset went afterwards. It was what they seen around them that was going on in their high school or their school.
Well, you could even be raised right and still look at it.
Running
that's
around
the point,
with.
though. That's the point. You do your best as a parent to raise them right, but when they get to school and they get around certain people and they're trying to get acceptance and they got it playing at school and this is what their friends are doing, sometimes just to be accepted, they will forego
what you
their teaching
so
and what they were
and
taught.
Still mess up. But
Exactly.
it's a learning process. You're supposed to mess up, honestly, when you're younger so you don't screw up still when you're an adult.
Right.
You got to mess up when you're younger and make those mistakes so that you can fix it later.
Right.
Like dating at a young age, you should date around and date multiple people to figure out what you really want. Because what's your idea in your head of what you want in a partner, once you get it, that may not be what you thought it was. So you got to figure that out.
Big facts. Right. That's big facts. So, hey, we had great conversation tonight. We up against the window right now, but we can go. I see we can go on talking about this forever.
You can.
But I think the reality of it is, just for me to close it out in a nutshell, you guys spoke a lot about parenting. I think it's twofold. I think parenting is a huge part of it, but I also feel like we need to be a little bit more responsible in society and socially. I personally think that there needs to be an entity that polices our images and things of that nature in the media and make sure that we're presenting ourselves to society in a more positive manner. I truly believe that. But as I said, I just think it's a twofold thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I feel you, but then you end up with stuff like Dirty Dancing. You know, they completely got rid of that. If you haven't watched the movie, you know, like dancing was banned. It was taboo. What'd they do?
They were shaking some ass.
They started going places and having secret things. So even if we try to police it like that and put more standards on, like, this isn't appropriate, it's going to still happen. And I'm more so, I would rather know what is going on and what is out there than to have to find out later and it be some secretive stuff. Because most people, as soon as you say something's taboo, they more so what they want to do it.
Facts.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you both. I mean, I agree with you both, and only in the sense that I want to say it all has to start somewhere, and that's why I say at home.
For sure. No, without question. Yeah. I definitely feels that all education should start there.
Definitely.
Right? But I think that we've just gone way too far. And I hate to see where we're at in 10 years.
I cannot disagree with you because it's way too far out there.
I hate to see where we're at in 10 years. But family, thank you guys for coming out tonight. We had a great conversation. Once again, go to the YouTube page, like, add, subscribe. Please send this to your friends and your family if you really like what we're talking about. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week. All right, y'all done.
Bet.